Hey, it's PhilzGoodMan, and I just released the Krunker sound mod. It's not because I think that the default sounds are bad. I just wanted to make a mod that was a bit punchier and clean up the sounds a little bit. The other problem with the default sounds is that they're very, very loud and they sustain for a long time, and it leads to a lot of audio clutter. But there are things that I really like about the default sounds. So one of the design goals is to maintain at least some part of the default sound. So you can see here on the screen the design goals of this mod. The first is satisfaction, so I want to make sure that the mod just feels good to use. And number two is going to be realism, so I want to add a little bit more depth to the sounds. Number three is going to be loudness, and I don't want them as loud as the default sounds, but I want to make sure that it stands up in comparison to other games, music, etc. And last, I want to make sure that the sounds are recognizable. So you want to make sure that a Deagle sounds like a Deagle and a Revolver sounds like a Revolver. It's all original, but I took found sounds from other games. And for most of these sounds, I've combined 4 or 5 different samples. Just took the best, most satisfying parts from various sounds and try to make it into one cohesive sound. For anyone involved in music production or sound design, the process is basically loading up the samples, trimming the start and stop times of the samples, so essentially tuning the attack, decay, sustain, and release, and then EQ each sound individually, normalize volume levels, and then route them all to a separate mix bus, add a little bit of reverb, and add compression, effects, etc. to really tie everything together. And the last step is throw a limiter on it and export it. Believe it or not, the mod probably took me about 20 hours of work time to make, and I just really got into it and spent a lot of time on each individual sound. But in the future, it should probably go faster. So this mod includes 6 different weapons, so Triggerman, Hunter, Detective, Marksman, Deagle, Alien Blaster. And if this one is well received, then I will go ahead and make the rest of the weapons in the game. So now I'm going to break down each sound individually, starting with the Triggerman. And throughout this video, maybe you can guess which games made their way into my Krunker sounds. So let's talk about the first sound, which is the AK, the one that you see here on the screen. And I'll give you a hint about this one. So this one uses the original AK sound from Krunker, of course, and also has the Fortnite suppressed assault rifle very quietly. A bit more distinct is going to be the CSGO silenced M4. And originally I was going to go for more of a silenced M4 style, but I didn't really feel like it fit with the model of the weapon. So the last sound that I added really helped with the low end, added that bass and rumble, made it sound more like a real AK. And maybe you guys can guess which game it's from. Let me know if you know. So next up we have the Revolver, and for this one I really wanted it to pop. So I really wanted the Revolver to have a satisfying pop sound when you fire it, and then just make it pretty clean besides that. So this one has 2 primary samples from 2 different games. One of them is a game that's really popular right now, and then the other one is from a legendary game series. Next up is the sniper rifle, and it's the original sniper rifle. Actually, I'm pretty satisfied with the intervention sound in Krunker, but I didn't like the original sniper rifle that much. One sound used in this sample is actually from a electronic darts machine. So I was playing some darts recently, and the sound of the double bullseye sounds really satisfying, so I worked that in there. After the sniper is the semi-auto, so the marksman, and basically I just started with all the meta classes in the game, and out of all the sounds in this mod pack, I actually think that I like the semi-auto the best. It just is really satisfying. It really feels like a DMR with this sound. For the samples used to make this sound, I think that the most prominent sound is really obvious if you've played the game before, but let me know if you know anyways. Moving on, we have the Desert Eagle, and this sound was the most fun to make because Deagle is such a legendary weapon across various FPS games. And this one, I combined 5 different samples from different games, and I think that the result is pretty cohesive and very satisfying. I made sure to include both the Deagle and the Alien Blaster, depending on your preference. The last sound in this mod is going to be the Alien Blaster, and I do like the original Alien Blaster sound, but it sounds a bit too cartoony for me, and also the sound sustains for too long, so it doesn't decay fast enough. So what I did was I made it a bit punchier by combining some other sounds and also tightened it up a bit and shortened the length of the sound. So lastly, I want to round things out with the Hitmarker sound and the headshot sound. For the hit sound, it's very clear that I'm using the Quake Hitmarker sound, which is a popular thing to be modded into a variety of games, for good reason though. So the default Hitmarker sound is a bit quiet, hard to hear, and when you're playing a shooting game, especially when tracking is involved, it's really nice to have that auditory feedback. So I mixed the Quake hit sound with the Krunker hit sound. I did change the pitch so it matches more. And then for the headshot sound, obviously I already think that the original headshot sound is quite satisfying. I even made a video about that. So I wanted to keep that original sound there. And then add the Quake Hitmarker sound, but change the pitch so it goes up. And there's at least one more satisfying sound I added in there, just to make sure that it has a nice low end and it's well-rounded. How do you install this mod? So there's 2 really easy ways to install it. The first method is simply going into the mod browser in the Krunker game, and you can see PhilzGoodMan. The next method is just by using the Dropbox link that I included in the description. Just make sure that you open it up in a new tab first. Sometimes YouTube links get messed up otherwise. And then like load mod, and then copy that URL in. If you auto load mods, it should work no problem. Also, I did include the other default sounds, the ones that I did not mod, in the zip file as well, and the reason for that is because I wanted to normalize the volume levels across all the different weapons. But the file is very small because there's no textures or other things, just the sounds. Before I go, I just want to mention a few things about the modding process. So I've never really considered myself a modder. I think this might be the first mod that I've made. But it was super easy. So all I had to do was download a zip file, the default zip file, and then replace files and delete the ones that I don't need. It was just really fun, and it kind of made the game feel like a new game in a way. I found the whole process to be a lot more interesting than I expected. And probably do more mods in the future if you guys like this one. So credits to Sid, Vince, and the rest of the Krunker team for making the game super moddable. And hope you guys enjoyed this video. I certainly had fun making it. And if you haven't already, please help my channel out by liking and subscribing. Thank you guys so much.